Ladies and gentlemen, there were so many freaking good anime that came out in the year of 2024, and I wanted to make this video of my personal top 3 anime of the 2024 year, and as well as some of the new anime that came out that I really personally enjoyed. 2024 was such a great year to be an anime nerd, so let's see what anime were on my radar. What were some of the top anime that you watched? Leave them down below in the comments so I can check them out. By the way, Happy New Year to everyone who's watching this video. Hope y'all have a great 2025. If you're new here, I am HR Godspeed. I create anime videos on YouTube from breakdowns, reviews, and finding concepts within anime that we can relate to our own lives. I am going to be ranking these anime from my third favorite to my top favorite anime of 2024. Now, I'm going to be starting off with my third favorite anime of 2024, and that was the Haikyuu movie, Battle at the Garbage Dump. This is the only movie in my top 3 list, and I have been wanting to watch this movie the entire year because I was not able to watch it when it came out in theaters in I think February or something like that. And well, I had to wait for it to come out on certain websites, you know what I mean. And when it was available, I instantly watched it. This was actually my top anime of the year when I watched it. I watched it sometime in November, and it somehow dropped to 3rd place in the span of a couple of months. This movie was just a spectacular watch that made me glued to my screen the entire time. I would say this movie is very impactful due to all the other seasons we had to watch previously and the amazing story building that this anime has to offer, as well as anticipating this matchup between Kurasuno and Nekoma High. This movie was entirely animated fantastically, and you can tell the animators spent a lot of time making this movie. There were many standout moments, and the first one I want to talk about is that scene where Kurasuno and Nekoma are fighting for 1 point. And the scene I'm talking about is where we get the entire scene from the start of the serve to the receives, to the spikes, the saves, and all of it. It was one of the most beautiful scenes I had seen in anime, and specifically also sports anime. I know for a fact Blue Lock fans were crying watching this scene. I won't get ahead of myself. More on Blue Lock later. We see the animators really showed the emotion and passion the players had in this game, from the characters being in trance and really fighting for their lives. We see one of Nekoma's characters, I forgot his name, he's the German student. We see him stick out his tongue in this animated scene. He was locked in, focused, fully just only aware of trying to get this next point for the team. Of course, I had to mention when Hinata flew high in the air to catch the set Kageyama set up for him. That was also an amazing moment in the show. And it was such a great moment because it was basically Hinata 1v3ing for this point, which is awesome in my opinion. A lot of these players got their own moments to shine in the game, which is really nice to see, since we have seen most of these characters since the beginning of the season 1 trying their absolute best to get better and better, and finally showing up on stage to prove themselves. And of course, that animated scene was also perfect. I'm talking about Kema's perspective. That scene was something else. It had me getting chills across all my body. It was such a great way to show how intense the match was, and shout out to the voice actor. I think his breathing as the action is playing out really adds to how tired he was and how focused he was too. This POV shot makes you feel like you're in the game because you see his perspective and you see all the players going crazy trying to save the ball to get this point, to get this win. Such a great movie, and that is why it's in my 3rd spot for this list. Now, if you want to see more on this, I have another video on Haikyuu's movie. You want to see that, link in the description, where I go through a full breakdown of the movie. This right here took my 2nd spot, but also for a moment it was in my 1st place. I had seen multiple anime this year, but when I saw Haikyuu's movie, took my number 1 spot. But then I saw this one, and this one took the number 1 spot. But then again, this is in my 2nd spot, so something else took my 1st spot. These anime were really knocking each other out every single time I watched a new one, but it's because they were basically the ones I was anticipating the most this year. So it was a lot of fighting in this. I want to see if you can guess what my top anime of the year is, but leave that in the comments down below. My 2nd favorite anime this year was My Hero Academia Season 7, and this is the longest anime in seasons in my list, and absolutely one of my favorite seasons of the show. There are so many great moments about this season, and I actually made a full video on this anime as well if you want to check that out, link in the description. But I'll be going over some of my favorite things that I liked about this season. Easily one of my favorite moments in the show was Deku versus Shigaraki. I mean, we had not seen Deku use all of his quirks in synchronization together, working together ever. So when we finally get to see that moment, it's just spectacular. I was left in awe. I was speechless because we've seen Deku struggle with his quirks since the beginning of the show. So to see him finally being able to connect all of them and mesh them all well together such a satisfying moment for Deku. And probably one of my favorite moments, if not my favorite moment of this series, was the fight between brothers, Todoroki versus Dabi. This was just a very emotional event for the entire family of the Todorokis, and Shoto has always been my personal favorite character in My Hero Academia. So it was really nice to see his character growth in this season. We finally see him accept both sides of his powers, his fire and ice, and be able to blend them into a way to create a new power, which was awesome to see. Since the beginning, we saw him reject his fire quirk from his father, so being able to see him mesh both of them together was such a nice addition to it. And the power he creates with this is awesome too. Overall, everything about this season was just created so nicely, and it made me appreciate My Hero Academia even more. Now this is what I've been fucking waiting for. I will be making a video on this soon about this goated series, but for now, let's talk about it here. Fuck all of y'all who said Blue Lock sucked, Blue Lock this, Blue Lock that. Where the fuck are y'all now? Because this series is my #1 fucking anime of the year, and all those fucking haters since the beginning of season 2, where y'all at now? I don't fucking hear y'all talking anymore. Ever since that glorious episode 14 came out, vanished, gone, when the world needed him most. Y'all fucking vanished. Where'd y'all go? No more shit talking, huh? That's right. Okay, let me calm down a bit. I want to say first and foremost, yes, this season's animation was not as fluid as season 1, but honestly, I wasn't caring much about the animation, as the story was just good by itself. The story of Blue Lock alone itself is such an intriguing story about creating the best striker in Japan, forcing these students to get the biggest egos and fighting against each other. That story is just so well crafted that I didn't care about the animation. I was so invested in the story that I completely zoned out during these animated scenes that were actually really good. Because there were some moments in this show where the animation was great, but that was more towards the second half of the season, which I can see why they did that. But this U20 matchup gets more and more intense as the match prolongs, so they really animated it where it counted in my opinion. Plus, I heard that the team of animators was spread thin for this company, so only one man was doing most of the job by himself. That's what I heard online. All of you all who are causing the ruckus online being ungrateful, fuck you. I saw a lot of people complaining about season 1's animation, and then y'all got season 2 and y'all were like, oh shit, and then y'all were ungrateful for both. Man, y'all don't deserve shit, man. Anyways, I will talk about one moment here because I will be making a video on this later, but that was Isagi's goal. This moment right here is easily one of my top favorite moments in anime history. Yeah, I said it, anime history. I've seen quite a bit of anime, but this moment had me screaming in my fucking room when it played out, and it had me going feral, man. This episode was actually rated a perfect 10 for a couple hours. I think it had 200 reviews on IMDb, and then the haters came out and fucking dropped it, but it was at a 10 for a while, and I totally agree because this last episode was a fucking perfect 10. So I'm gonna be going over some of the anime that came out in 2024 and I thought were really good. I'll be giving brief descriptions of each of them. So, Windbreaker, guys being wholesome and throwing hands against gangs. Dandadan, guy believes in aliens, girl believes in ghosts. They think the other's beliefs are fake, realize it's not. A romance with action. Kaiju number 8, it's in the title. Kaiju getting killed by companies who use kaiju weaponry. MC is older than most, but is still badass. Oblivion Battery, baseball comedy, heartfelt story. Art is different but very good. Go-Go Loser Ranger offers such a unique story that is honestly very refreshing. Power Rangers are evil. Solo Leveling, action is fantastic. Main character's English dub voice actor makes this worth watching alone. Look Back, charming story with great visuals that will make you want to unalive yourself. Now, that was the end of the video, everyone. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. I had a great time making this video, man. That Blue Lock stuff got me hyped up, man. I can't wait till I make a video on the Blue Lock season 2 because throughout the entirety of season 2, I could see why people were making complaints about it, but I think it was so harsh that it just made me annoyed about the fandom, man. It was really annoying watching that unfold as the season was coming out slowly every single week. In my opinion, yeah, sometimes animation kind of sucked, but I didn't really care about it that much. I didn't make a big deal of it because the story alone was carrying the show. Those are my top 3 anime of 2024. Haikyuu was 3rd place, 2nd place was My Hero Academia season 7, and then Blue Lock season 2 was 1st place for me, easily. What were some of your top anime? Leave them down in the comments down below. I'll be checking them out. If you watched the entire video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. And yeah, guys, hope to see you on the next one. Have a great rest of the day. Peace, everybody.